Tom Aspinall is about to return Angiar, and the heavyweight division has no clue what storm is coming.
He hadn't spoke to me. He hadn't give any up. He was already giving updates on my health, and he had no idea what had gone on. Yeah, so disappointing, mate. Disappointing.
I wasn't saying anything negative toward him. You know, and I think the things can be taken out of context, or he didn't see what I said, because I don't even remember what the I said. But never once did I say anything negative about him, or, you know, in a derogatory way.
They called him a faker, said he milked the injury, said he wasn't even hurt, but the replay showed a knuckle-deep eye poke that would have made any sane man scream, and yet the mob still doubted him, still mocked him, still threw gasoline on the flames.
And then I realized, like, oh, people genuinely think that I faked this. People actually think that I was faking it. And then I was like, did people actually see the replay of what happened? Because that was a full-on eye poke. So then I was like, what is going on? Why are people thinking I'm faking this, like, after everything that I've been through to get there? So then I left it quite a while. I thought, right, I'm gonna get all the doctor's notes included. I've been through it for like loads and loads of tests for weeks. I've literally been in the hospital 2 or 3 times a week getting different tests. Then I come up with a doctor's report, and then people are like, oh, he's fine about it. He's doing a media tour on it. He's milking it. And I'm like, bro.
Tom did more hospital visits than most fighters do, pad RDs in a year, getting scans, notes, reports, proof, and when he finally brought receipts, the trolls doubled down, calling him soft, saying he's doing a media tour, acting like he stabbed their mother instead of getting medically butchered in the cage.
Yeah, slightly disappointing, because he hadn't spoke to me. He hadn't give any up. He was already giving updates on my health, and he had no idea what had gone on. Yeah, so disappointing, mate. Disappointing.
But that wasn't the craziest part. The bomb that blew up the UFC world was when Tom finally spoke up and said Dana White was commenting publicly on his health without even speaking to him privately.
So obviously, and I know Tom said, you know, I haven't even talked to him and all that stuff, but we have people all over him right now, you know, checking up on him, making sure he's good. Does he need any help, or, you know, any specialists? Yeah, I'm no doctor. I'm just saying what I've heard. And that was in no way, you know, it wasn't said in a way that they're like, oh, what do you think? I said, I think he's fine. Or it wasn't like that. I said, I think Tom's eyes are good. He's going to take some time, heal, come back to, you know, that's all I said.
Dana hadn't called, hadn't checked, hadn't even asked what happened. Yet somehow Dana was on camera explaining Tom's condition like he was playing doctor on national TV.
I wasn't saying anything negative toward him. You know, and I think the things can be taken out of context, or he didn't see what I said, because I don't even remember what the I said. But never once did I say anything negative about him, or, you know, in a derogatory way. You know, I'm sure he's upset and fired up, and, you know, he'll get better, and we'll get him back in there.
And Tom said it straight, slightly disappointing, slightly, mate, he was fuming.
I mean, what I would say is, if Aspinall was a huge driver of an audience for them, Dana would probably look past a lot of whatever else is driving the friction, right? So we probably wouldn't even be asking this question if he was drawing like enormous amounts of eyeballs. It just wouldn't even be a part of the conversation. You would be factoring in that Dana would just, you know, find a way to make good use of that, which, by the way, you would expect a promoter to do that. That would be the right thing to do. So the fact that he's not doing that kind of tells you where you're at. Now, again, I don't think that's the biggest indictment on Tom. There's just not many stars, and Tom could be big and important for the UK market, which of course I think that he is, but he just hasn't graduated to, dude, it takes a long time to become a superstar. You have to get fights like the John Jones fight. You got to kind of win them. That's the thing that elevates you.
Now here's where this gets wild. Dana White claps back, saying the UFC has medical teams crawling over Tom like ants on honey, checking him non-stop, specialists, everything he needs, and that Dana was only repeating what the docs fed him.
Aspinall probably has enormous superstar potential, but hasn't actualized it yet. And I think Dana's calculus probably plays into that. However, what I would say is there's got to be something more to the story. They don't like that Tom might have asked for certain things or said no to certain things. They may not like that Tom's father is his own man and that speaks his mind. I mean, there could be any number of other things that are probably also exacerbating tensions, because I seriously doubt it's strictly, I mean, you know, like on the one hand, Aspinall's not a superstar. On the other hand, he's not a nobody either.
Dana claims his words got twisted, swears he never meant anything negative, says he believes Tom will heal up, come back, and smash it.
I think we need to look at preventative measures too, and I think a lot of that rests in the glove. It's not like a magic, there's no rocket science, it's not a magic wand. I'm not saying that, you know, it's an easier mechanic as well. If we have a difference in the glove, without getting into it here, talking about how fighters' hands are during a fight, you know, in a natural C, you know, closed. Obviously, they still have to be able to open their hand to facilitate the grappling. But I think it's a twofold attack. One is mechanical, like I said, a change in the glove, a design to make sure that we can at least help to keep the hand in a relaxed state. Then if it's what I think then for referees, it's a much easier mechanic.
But what Dana didn't address is why he spoke before talking to Tom, why he downplayed the backlash, why he made it seem like everything was fine, and fighters, fans, and analysts are calling cap.
In a fight, I've never, ever, like I said, 21 years as a ref, I've never actually, in a free-form fight when people are exchanging blows, I've never once thought that a fighter has done that intentionally to poke someone in the eye. It just doesn't. I've got news flash. It just doesn't happen like that. Unfortunately, stylistically, unfortunate, bad things happen in fights, and we're going to tackle it. That's all I can say. Please side with us.
Luke Thomas jumped in with a reality check. If Tom was already a mega draw, the UFC would be doing PR damage control like they were protecting gold from a bank heist.
Wrestling, for example, with absolutely no glove whatsoever, we don't have a lot of eye pokes. They happen. They're not non-existent, but it's not to the point that it's a problem. Olympic judo. Judo in general doesn't have to be the Olympics, but you're allowed to touch the person's face. You're allowed to reach for the person. You're encouraged to do so, and you don't really have what you would define as a problem with eye pokes. So, but this is part of the pretend. This is all part of the pretend. We're pretending that the person poking the other person in the eyes is not trying to poke them in the eyes. We can't imagine that they would. It didn't look like they did.
Tom's not John Jones level yet. He's not McGregor level yet. He hasn't had that single monumental moment that shoots you into superstardom. He's close, but close doesn't get you protected.
We've got the three big rules. We call them the big three because they're the only ones that were around in yesterday and they're allowed today. Don't bite him. Don't kick the son of a bitch when he's down, and don't touch his eyes. Any one of those three has got to, if you want it to stop. And by the way, you don't need to change the gloves. Like, this is a cop-out. This is a massive cop-out. If you start disqualifying athletes for any one of those three, you will never see any of those three again. You can change the glove, you can chop their fingers off, or you can just hold them accountable when they do it. And that seems to be the one big idea that nobody has yet had.
And then Luke dropped the spicy hint. This beef isn't just star power, something else is happening behind closed doors. Maybe Tom said no to something. Maybe Tom's dad pushes against UFC demands. Maybe politics, ego, pride. We don't know, but something reeks.
Now, obviously, Tom's the one living through this. Tom's the one that's getting absolutely slaughtered online. And Tom's the one 6 weeks later still having to go to the doctor and still can't train and do any kind of combat. So he's the man that's living with this, okay? So you understand, you kind of will get emotional. You will be pissed off and you will think that Cyril Gane was doing that on purpose. I still don't, okay? I don't think Cyril Gane did that on purpose. What you want to do is crack someone in the face, and when the hands are out, when you go to grab, if someone comes in to take you down or whatever, sometimes that happens. That's why this whole rule of the fingers being up, not allowed there, but they're allowed there, is stupid.
This is number one
Because what happens when someone comes forward and you've got to grab them, because you can grab, you're allowed to in the rules, fingers go haywire, go into eyes. Make a fist, make a loose fist. It's not hard, that's all that's gonna happen.
Then Mark Goddard steps in, throwing gasoline and logic at the same time, saying the sport needs prevention, not punishment, starting with fixing the gloves so fighters aren't poking eyeballs like they're trying to unplug a Wi-Fi router.
Is listen to the doctors. Do not rush anything. The man's still young, he's in his prime, he's not on borrowed time, he's still got years ahead of him. Listen to the doctors, come back, whoop some ass, take the gloves off, no more Mr. Nice Guy, tell everyone to go themselves, knock some people out, and this whole escapade will be behind him. Doing interviews and showing the receipts and showing the doctor's appointments and all the rest of it, I don't think that's the way forward. I really don't.
Goddard swears on his officiating career that no fighter intentionally eyes another, says styles clash and chaos happens, accidents not malicious attacks, and fans need to breathe and stop acting like this is Mortal Kombat.
You know that guy that is the world champion, and before that he was the interim world champion? You know that guy that knocked out 6 men in the first round? You know that guy that Bisping was talking about, who in his entire career in the UFC has only gone to the second round once? By the way, that was against a world champion who, by the way, he ended up stopping. That guy. That guy's done all of that in a good mood. He's done all of that with a smile. He's done all of that happy. What are you gonna do with a 262-pound angry Tom Aspinall? And you can't answer that. We have to see it.
But then, Chael Sonnen detonates the room, saying it's not the glove, not the design, not the accident, it's the rules.
Couldn't see Merab losing anytime soon. Fair play.
He has had 4 fights.
Fair play, Merab has had 4 fights. I'd be interested in a trilogy. I definitely want to see a trilogy of that.
3 basic MMA rules exist since the Stone Ages: no biting, no kicking a down fighter, and no eye attacks. Chael says if refs actually DQ'd fighters when they eye poke, the whole problem disappears overnight. Boom.
I want to say he didn't at all go to the body, like with his hands like he normally does. And we really feel like that could have probably been a difference maker. Kind of like when the first fight, Jan kept attacking the calf, and then Merab started kicking his leg back, and eventually he hurt him, had him forced to switch into the southpaw stance. This time, Jan was a lot more comfortable in the southpaw stance because he was having a lot more success with that left body kick. And yeah, just a couple of technical things we were doing wrong. I think once we look at it and evaluate it together, we'll all kind of see the same thing and be able to make those adjustments relatively quick. And just kind of do some fight walkthroughs, some fight simulations, and I think that's going to be the difference maker to us making adjustments to his adjustments. And I find it hard to believe that version of Merab was the best version.
Bisping then jumps in, trying to calm the fire, saying of course Tom is emotional, of course he's pissed. HE's the one living it, doing the hospital runs, doing the tests, losing training time, and the worst part, dealing with the noise online. Bisping doesn't blame Gain, doesn't think it was intentional, but he says fingers going up or down is a stupid rule that fixes nothing. Teaching fighters to keep a loose fist would solve the majority of it. Then comes the chilling take. People want Tom to come back angry, violent, swinging for decapitations, becoming the villain, the destroyer, the monster. But Bisping warns patience, recovery, timing. Don't rush just to satisfy the mob. Kyle responds like a horror movie trailer. Tom dominated, became champ, knocked dudes out cold, all with a smile. So what happens when that smile disappears? What happens when a happy killer becomes a furious one? Nobody has the answer, and that makes angry Tom Aspinall absolutely terrifying. And just when the chaos couldn't get louder, UFC 323 exploded the bantamweight world. Khamzat Chimaev showed rare calmness, congratulating Petr Yan, wishing Merab recovery, and the MMA community blinked twice because Chimaev showed humanity. Mokaev came in right after bragging on Merab for putting together 4 championship-level performances in 1 year, while some fighters barely lace up their gloves once. Consistency like that is machine level. Tom Aspinall himself chimed in about the Yan vs. Merab war, saying he still can't picture Merab losing, says a trilogy would be insane and he'd watch it every time. Sterling breaks down the whole fight like a chess analyst, saying Merab didn't work the body right, Yan was more comfortable southpaw with the left body kick, and that this wasn't even peak Merab, adjustments are coming like a freight train. Lerone Murphy said he watched the fight twice because it was that good, praising Jan's takedown defense like it was made of granite. And when Petr Yan won the belt, he told the world he had returned everything to its proper place, thanking his family, team, fans, saying history has been rewritten. So now the whole UFC is split. Aspinall chaos at heavyweight, Yan reclaiming the crown at bantamweight, analysts predicting trilogies, fans foaming at the mouth, and every contender trying to figure out where they stand in this shifting earthquake of power. And here's your next twist. Nobody knows what the UFC will do next, but whispers backstage say a shocking bout announcement is coming sooner than anyone expects, and when the name drops, the internet is going to melt. Because if Tom returns angry, if Yan demands dominance, if Merab prepares revenge, we might be staring straight into one of the most explosive years in UFC history.